Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is the first Hangout in a long time for the Apache Cordova committers and PMC and anyone else who wants to join. I don't have any sort of agenda. I just wanted us to catch up, look at each other's faces. We haven't had any interaction other than email and Slack for quite a while. So it's good to get everyone's perspective on what things they're focused on and what kind of things they want to do. So with that, maybe we should do a quick round of introductions. I can go first. So I've been a committer and a contributor since the early days. I'm one of the old school guys from PhoneGap days. I did a lot of work earlier on Windows and iOS when it was just starting out. But after a while, I moved more to tooling after Windows sort of faded from being this weird thing and became more HTML based. And Microsoft did a lot of work in that along the way as well. In the last few years, I haven't been able to put as much time as I've wanted to into actually committing code. So I've been focused more on administration and helping anyone where I can about the Apache way, about the way we do things, and about the reason that some things are the way that they are. So with that, I'll pass along to Brody Bits.
Hi. Sure. So real quickly, I think everyone knows me, but I'll just go real quickly. I started working with PhoneGap, Cordova and PhoneGap in 2012, and ended up making a SQLite database plugin that has been pretty widely used for a number of years. And actually, I didn't make the original one. Someone else made the original one for iOS, and I ended up adding a bunch of other stuff on top of it. And I was actually able to extract the beginning of the Android version out of an old version of PhoneGap, very fortunately. And it's just been, it's been more and more people have been using it over the years. And I was, and I joined I was added as a committer and member a couple of years ago. And I've been trying to help get, there were some patch releases that were needed, 1 or 2 years ago. And I've been trying to help get the support. I've been trying to help keep the support under control as much as I could. Unfortunately, I don't think I will be able to contribute as much as I would really like in the near future, because of some other priorities. But yeah, it seems like, I guess I would kind of make a comment that it's very interesting. A framework that was supposed to go away, it looks like it's becoming, kind of morphed. And capacitor has, I really like the capacitor, sort of like how capacitor works in terms of, works better with web apps and other frameworks. But then capacitor needs, I discovered the capacitor needs uses some parts from Cordova to work with Cordova plugins. So I find it very interesting that the framework that was supposed to go away is probably is not looking. It's not looking.
Yeah, we failed at that. Who wants to go next? Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian. I've been working on Cordova within my company for like 5 years now. And then I entered Apache Cordova as a PMC committer maybe 2 years ago. I don't quite remember. I think it was about 2 years ago. And basically, our company heavily uses Cordova in our service to help people build applications, either like within the cloud, build services, kind of like what Phone Gap Build did for building and whatnot. Uh, and we wanted to be able to contribute back to Apache, so we kind of created a team. I jumped in on that team, and I've been pretty much like very active in the project. I've been trying to push patches, minors, majors, like in various repos, all the way from the platform down to the tooling, uh, a little bit in the plugins, but not so much there. Um, and I guess the recent, one of the more recent areas that I've been focusing on within Cordova was, I guess, the new Electron platform and trying to bring that up to a more robust platform to be used. Uh, yeah, I think that sums up a lot.
Yeah, I'll go next. Thanks, Brian. I'm Tim. Happy to see you all in person, hear some voices. Yeah, I'm working with Cordova since May 2017, I guess. And luckily, I'm still on the same project, working here in Hamburg for a small agency. We are now bought by Accenture, but we're a small team and with just two developers. My day-to-day work, I'm building an Angular application, but we're wrapping it with Cordova. And yeah, I'm always trying to give something back to the community. And that's when I got involved with you. Um, I think Jan nominated me back last year in April. I'm trying to do my best to contribute some reviews, patches, fixes, and stuff like that. In recent work more on the plugins and tooling or testing infrastructure a bit, but that's yeah, a bit difficult to dive into the logic of common and lib and all the things. But yeah, I'm trying my best to get deeper there, and I'm always fighting, and it's a bit of bit difficulty to allocate some time so we can contribute back to Apache and Cordova. Yeah, maybe we can, or I can push my project members to give something back and have some backup from our client leads. Yeah, and in the future, I would definitely try to do some plugin releases. That's a long time to do list item I want to cut off.
Yeah, maybe I can do next because my story is kind of similar to Tim's. I've been using Cordova since like 4 years, and I'm working day to day on an Angular app like Tim and work with Cordova to publish it. And we found some bugs over the years and some strange edge cases we built around with some plugins and stuff. So I tried to fix those bugs and contributed some patches and got into the PMC just end of last year. And I'm still basically doing the same, finding bugs and issues that break our application and fix them for others. And I focused a bit on some plugin releases like in a browser. That's a heavily used plugin by my app and maybe others. So I tried to fix stuff there and get releases out and iOS stuff and similar. Yeah.
My story is pretty similar to the last two, but I think going back further, my company's been using Cordova or PhoneGap for close to a decade, longer than that. I sort of got involved around 2014 with finding bugs in Cordova and making patches and opening issues and stuff like that. So I've sort of been observing the process for a while and then got a bit more involved. I think it was 2016, 2017-ish, with contributing fixes and sort of taking on more updates to platforms and stuff. I also probably won't have as much time to dedicate towards Cordova going forward. We're moving to a new focus at work, and that's shifting from Cordova to Capacitor. So we're still going to be using Cordova for our existing apps, but new work is going to be on Capacitor.
Yeah, Raphael is having trouble getting audio, so I'm just trying to help him get in. You can see the video, but no audio.
For me, there was a window that asked me if I want to use computer audio or
Yeah.
telephone, and maybe it's somewhere on his screen and you can see it.
Well, it doesn't say Raphael is trying to connect to audio anymore. It said that for a long time. Can you hear anything, Raphael? So I'll just sort of move forward and we can catch up, Raphael, if need be. So I would like to do this more regularly. We went a long time without doing this. That way we can sort of get more of, we can share with the community what we're doing and what we intend to do, as well as hopefully, bring more people in when they see how we work and what we're doing, and hopefully get excited by it. I've noticed that the Open WISC community does basically a weekly meeting like this, where different people lead each week and they come up with topics for discussion. I can see ya. Can you hear us? Connecting to audio still.
But at least we got video.
Yep. Do you know sign language?
No.
Yeah, so looking at what the Open WISC community did, I think it's a good example for us to try and emulate. The problem that we have is we're a lot more distributed than they are, right? They're mostly North American, from what I've seen. So they don't have as much of a time zone disparity as we do, because we are like fully around the world, right? It's now 20 after 12 for Brian in the morning. So I don't know what time we can work, or if we can have several slots that we rotate through and different people lead based on what time zone they're in. But it would be good to get this into more of a routine occurrence. Other than that, is there any topics that anyone wants to bring up to discuss?
I think one of the topics that I've asked for it to be brought up on the mailing list is around Cordova Android and the Android support library and Android X libraries, and just trying to figure out how we can manage that. The latest Cordova Android release has a preference to allow you to enable the Android X system. The problem is essentially that it's almost like the Python 2 to Python 3 situation. You have a bunch of existing stuff that uses Android support libraries. You have a bunch of new stuff that uses Android X. They have the same functionality, but they're incompatible with each other. You can't use both in the same project. Typically, how you work around this is you have tools that when you pull in things from jar files or AAR files through Gradle, it'll automatically update them for you. The problem with Cordova plugins is that because the source files are copied into the project, it's not an extra dependency like a jar file. So they expect you to update the code in your project, and all the Cordova plugin code gets counted as part of your project. There are some tools that can be run. There's an NPM plugin or NPM tool, Jetifier, that essentially runs a regex over your code and replaces the Java class references with the Android X ones, which I know it works. I've seen a lot of people use it successfully. It also seems like something that we shouldn't just automatically run on people's projects. So just, I think, a discussion about how to try to manage that, ideally without breaking all of the existing plugins, but still letting people use Android X, because there's a lot of new plugins and new SDKs that start depending on it.
Is there a way for a plugin to specify that it supports Android X or not? Like similar to...
Currently, no.
Yeah.
And currently there's no way for a plugin to support both.
Because it's not as simple as a version, right? Like, and we have a similar issue in iOS with Swift or Objective-C, although that the bridging headers actually work quite well there, but there's no similar thing for Android X, right?
Correct.
Uh,
On
Jetifier.
iOS side, mixing Swift and Objective-C, we've mostly made that a smooth process. I've got
Yep.
several plugins in Swift that
Yep.
I don't have problems with anymore.
Has anyone looked at how we compare with React? Both capacitive React Native in terms of Android X, because I actually work with React Native on a actually a utility to create like low-level native plugins, and it seems like I think React Native does have some kind of solution. Unfortunately, I don't really understand it all that well, but I wonder if, and I wonder if there's, if there's anything we can kind of learn and take away from the solution. The other thing I'm thinking is that I recall that I think Cordova Android, at least in the past, there was Cordova Android had no dependency on between V4 and Android X in the source. There's dependency in the test, but it's only in the test, so that doesn't matter. And I don't know if that might have changed or if that's still or what.
No, you're correct. Cordova Android doesn't have any dependency on the support library or on Android X. Brian, go ahead.
So with regards to React Native, their CLI actually has the Jetifier NPM package in their CLI, and it automatically runs the Jetifier. That's probably how React Native is getting away with it. And they've been doing it since version 0.60. You can actually find that information on the package itself.
So theoretically, you would only need to do this once, so it could be done on plugin install.
Yeah, because you have to do it for every plugin that's old, but there was that alternative solution that I talked to a few other people about, but I don't know if that's something we want to do. I can bring it up if you want to hear that idea. Basically, Android X is almost like another platform, so you could technically convert, like you just fork you have two platforms, and like the way I do Electron is that it falls back to use Android plugins. So we're not like trashing all of the Android plugins. They would still have to add in the adapter, which actually does the class mapping replacements. But all of our entire core is set to be strictly all Android X, but we're basing from the original, platform, and then we keep Android, the old platform, as it is, and we don't like change it, so that won't break. And then the new platform will support Android X. And then on the plugin side, if a developer is active, if that plugin is still actively maintained, the developer then could, inside the plugin.xml, define the block scope for Android X and define its Android X classes to be injected into the platform directory. So technically, now you're supporting both. That's kind of a quicker, safer maybe solution. You're not really running something out on their code to do regex. They would have to acknowledge that they would have to install that adapter plugin to do that small little class changes across old plugins if they want to use it, and just bug the developers to start adding in the new platform to the existing plugin.
I kind of like that approach. It sounds cleaner than forcing you have to use Android X now because we will break a lot of plugins.
Yeah, so if you take the existing platform and force Android X on, then yes, it's going to force all the plugins to like stop working. They're gonna have to get the adapter and start using it immediately. But if you want people to gradually step into it, you could technically add the new platform. That platform is strictly Android X. The old platform will stay as is. They'll just remove that platform when they're done. They'll add Android X, build it with for Android X, and then they'll just have to know to add that adapter, or hopefully all the plugin developers that they're using would upgrade. So, okay. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
Just to make sure I'm absolutely clear, so plugins that don't care about Android X, like SQLite, for example, that maintain don't care about Android X, or at least mine don't care about Android X. So if it don't care about Android X, that means your ID, that means we have to do nothing.
So
Yeah,
if you have a plugin that is defining Android platform and you're using the standard support libraries, they would have to use the adapter to make the change so it would work. If you don't have that type of issue, and you don't want to, and that's an acceptable solution for you, it will still fall back, and Android X platform will still fall back and use the Android platform plugin. That's kind of like what Electron's doing. Like not all of, like there's literally no Electron platform plugin support, right? But browser can be supported, or some of the browser related stuff can be supported. So it falls back and uses actually the browser's portion of the plugins. So it's the same concept. Android falls back.
Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, I have another question about that. So would we need to make another, like, just like we have Cordova browser, Cordova Electron, Cordova iOS, Cordova Android. We'd have to make another Cordova X based on Cordova Android X based on Cordova Android, or can we have the same? Can we have the same kind of repository play both platforms somehow?
So someone brought up the idea of doing like a template, but in order for a template to work, you would have to always trash the platform folder. And if people are actually modifying stuff in the platform, which they're not really recommended, it would always lose on every prepare. So like if they change the flag, it just gets dropped. So I don't know if that's an actual good solution to have two like templates, one for Android, one for Android X, and depending on like what they've selected to change the template, like their build. Do you get that? So that's why I'm thinking
Sort
it
of.
should not be integrated together.
But
Okay.
I've got a question too. Isn't it basically the Android platform and the Android X preference setting is always true?
The Android X setting right now is false.
Yeah, but the new Android X platform would just need the platform.
It's basically that.
Yeah.
So basically what I was just saying, like, yeah. it's
Yeah, but
it's like
maybe we
basically a
can-
fork and it's always true, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe we can integrate it that we don't have to maintain two code bases and can use the Android code base and just set the correct preferences.
So if we do that, you would want to make sure that the preference is not changeable after it's installed. You want it to be like a pass-in preference flag, like during the install command, like a platform add, here's my flag. And then I say, okay, everything is now set for Android X. I can no longer change it to support library. I got to uninstall the platform and do it that way, because you don't want them to be changing the thing in the middle, because if they are modifying the
that's a
platform
premise.
and they make a mistake, they're going to lose all their like code or something. Hopefully they're using get, and then they'll just complain like, why did all my special code in the platform folder gone?
Yeah.
But
You can't
that's an
unidentifier.
yeah. That's an option.
We had a similar issue in the past where when Amazon first came out with their operating system, which was Android, it was Fire OS, and it was very similar to Android except for a few minor things that broke everything. So for a long time we did have two separate versions of Android. One was called Fire OS. But over time, Fire OS moved to actually run on top of just regular Android. So we were able to pull that platform out completely, or that device type out completely. Do we know if Android X is the future and anything that's not Android X will disappear at some point?
I don't know that it'll disappear, but the old Android support libraries are not going to be maintained or supported. There will be no future versions of those.
So eventually all plugins will become Android X compatible if they're good plugins and they're continued to be used, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just with regards to like, do we make a complete copy of Cordova Android and just turn on Android X and call that a new platform? What we might be able to do is make a new platform, but have it pull in the Cordova lib library. So we don't have to like have two versions of our core Cordova library for Android, because that currently doesn't depend on Android X or the support library. So that will work in both cases. And that just makes it easier for maintenance in terms of only needing to fix bugs in one spot.
Yep. Yeah, it could also be a plugin, right? So a plugin applied to Android that all it does is add the Android X support by running Jetafire.
I think I'd actually kind of favor the plugin, because I would, either a plugin or just a switch. Because if you just if you add to the platform, you got a fork and you get another platform to support. And I'm kind of anticipating that in, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, there will be no more like V4. There will be no more V4 support working. Anyway.
Yeah, I was if we split, I was saying I would have also recommended improving our telemetry, because we don't know what platforms people install exactly. We just know they run the add command. And then if we knew that the numbers of Android was dropping down below 5% or whatever, then we just deprecate it. archive it. That's if we did split. I wouldn't like just like start maintaining too. I would have basically, we could have just said the same thing like Google said. We're no longer maintaining the support library side of it. So if there's something related to this, we're focusing on the Android X. We would like everyone to start migrating over to Android X. But yeah, like we can do the like probably a plug-in way.
I think a community maintained plugin for enabling Android X and running Jetafire and fixing those issues already exists. I think one of the advantages from our perspective of creating the new platform is that we get to fix a bunch of things that we'd like to fix around the tooling and how the Gradle files are set up and stuff like that, that is hard to fix in the existing one without breaking compatibility. And I think every time we try to make those sorts of changes, it ends up breaking something and getting reverted.
So in that case, then would you say that we would, we could add like, we could add a platform called Android X, and then Android, the existing Android, would be sort of deprecated or eventually deprecated over time?
That's the idea. Like, yeah, the idea would be the Android platform over time would be deprecated. Then we'd have the Android X platform, which is the modern stuff. And I actually had more ideas of like what I would do with the platform. It wouldn't be just like add Android X library to the Gradle and then change the classes. I was actually going to go all out and refactor the whole thing into Kotlin. Like, get away from all the old languages, the old support libraries, and then start like improving our testing around it. It is kind of like a new platform to improve the performance in this support from what we have today. Like Daryl was saying, there's just so much, and it's kind of trying to, it's like you're building on top and you're hoping the core, the base, the bridge won't collapse. So I was just trying to like
I think
build the structure, the core. Yeah.
that would really be nice if that, that sounds like a really nice idea.
Yeah, if you can greenfield it, that would be great. But I worry about the complexity down the road and us biting off more than we can chew.
Now, would it be possible to do this? Would it be? I think it's possible to add third-party platforms as well, even if it's not, even if we don't, even if it's not official, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think you could add a third party, if someone made it, even if someone did it as a third party and just said, okay, we support an Android plugin if it's not, we support an Android plugin if it's not Android X, for example.
Yeah.
Just saying, it'd be, I mean, I would definitely, it'd be much better to have, just support it by Apache, but just extend, just the accessibility would be nice.
Yeah, if we did something like this large of a task, it probably like someone would have to start it, and it probably would not be in Apache. It would not go through the whole voting process. It'd be like first create a proof of concept.
Exactly.
And then people would look at the proof of concept, and if they like where it's at that point, it would probably be brought into Apache for now more contributors to contribute into the project after seeing that it works, the base of it. And then from there, then we would start probably the voting type processes for releasing. But yeah, like the initial like would have to be a proof of concept. You can't like sit there and wait for people to approve every single commit PR. So like, yeah.
How long do you think it would take to make this kind of a proof of concept? Just kind of curious.
Yeah, I have to think about that. So that's a challenging question. But like, if we are reusing the existing platform that there is now, if we were like to convert it to Kotlin, for example, the Android Studio library actually has, a converter. You just run a converter across all your Java and it'll convert it all into Kotlin, and then change. But like as Daryl says, like we probably want to like, improve our Gradle build process. So that area would take time. So it's either we start that from scratch or try to manipulate and start like plucking out the bad stuff. But that area is where it's going to get a little trickier, a little slower. But like,
okay. And do you think it'd be
the libraries is simple?
Yeah. Because I'm just kind of having ideas here. Like, if you make like, because if you make a zero, if you make 0.x releases for a while, then it doesn't, if you could start with, if you start by factoring top level classes to Kotlin, switch to Android X, and start with with 0.1, you can you can make breaking changes as long as you need. As just as an idea. I mean, you're probably I'm sure you've probably already thought of these things, but
yeah,
kind of
I think
fleshing it
I've
out.
actually talked about this idea half a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't bring up all of my like ideas immediately because like I always have the feeling that like there's gonna be like the question, is it done
Yeah.
yet?
Sure.
So like since the whole topic point was brought up about like how to support it, it's really like I guess at this point we need to like know what we want to do. Like obviously there is a solution right now. We already have the flag in place in the existing, Android to enable it, but it will break all plugins. And then the developers would have to know, oh, let me get the adapter plugin installed so it starts changing the code. So we have something in place for Android X, but it's not like we did a hard switch. And literally when I did the hard switch, like I actually, when I put that flag in,
Uh-oh.
so
You
that
were
then they
you were
found out that was
frozen. You were frozen for a bit there.
oh so yeah, like what I was saying is like I defaulted to true, and somebody tested out the master branch for something, and then they were like, it's not working, it's broken, and then they realized that Android X was enabled and all their plugins are not yet ready to support it. So
Wow.
I kind of then switched it back to false. So I didn't want to break it. We didn't provide a notice, I guess, for this feature yet. So
I just want to clarify, when we say all plugins, we mean all plugins that use the support library. So Android plugins that don't use the support library, those, no problems. You can use them in Cordova Android with the support library. You can use them in Cordova Android with Android X. You could use them in the new platform. It's only things that depend on the support library where like all of the class paths have changed and class names have changed and stuff like that.
I kind of have another question about this. Are we? I hope we can avoid. I hope we can avoid a case of duplicating. Like if capacitor has done stuff already, and that that makes that basically makes mobile apps work on modern Android X and iOS. I mean, if we like if we're just if we're duplicating if we're duplicating work that another framework already has working, that's kind of it feels like a is there anything unique that we're adding or but if we do if we do something similar, just wondering.
I think the main difference is essentially the philosophy of whether you treat your platforms as build artifacts or whether you treat your platforms as part of your project. That's what I see as the main sort of philosophical difference between Cordova and Capacitor.
Okay.
I think definitely it's worth looking at how Capacitor has their project structure set up. If we're talking about redoing how we're doing Gradle and stuff like that, then for sure taking inspiration from them and avoiding the problems that they ran into and have worked around makes sense. And that's one of the nice things about open source is that you can pull ideas
definitely
everywhere.
Yep.
But I think that with Capacitor, when you generate a project, that project becomes part of your project. So you commit all of your Gradle files in your Android Studio project. And so I think they probably don't have some of the same concerns around like copying things in and out and preparing projects and stuff like that. It's a much more straightforward process on their side because it's part of your project.
Yep.
So summarizing this topic, we should probably go to a discuss thread or a proposal. I would suggest that we go down the plugin path first, and that can be done in parallel. But a plugin would essentially just need to run over all the other plugins and essentially run Jetifier, and that can be done on any plugin install, right? So I think we have an event hook for that already. So it could be a install step plugin that just needs to run once whenever a new plugin is installed.
It might have to be actually on the like prepare, because the thing is like if I add the plugin with my Jetifier and I run it on plugin install, and then I add 30 other plugins and they all using support library, they're not modified, right?
Yeah. I mean on any plugin install. So prepare.
If I have that one plugin will always run the install even if it's not if it's already installed.
I think actually prepare is the right spot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
so it would need to iterate over all the plugins and fix any that needed it.
Okay.
It can just be a npm post-install script. That's what we recommended to people having this problem on Capacitor. They just add a post-install script that run Jetifier. So Jetifier running node modules, so that when they run prepare, the files are already patched.
Good to hear.
I'm like 90% sure that there's a community maintained plugin that already does this.
Yeah, Dave Alden is a PNC too. He had one for enable Android X and another one for patching the plugins.
I remember correctly, we had one pull request where more than just the support library was changed, and things like the base activity Cordova extends from was changed too. And I think the whole Android X topic is more than just the support library and the Android X fragments and things like that, but I'm not deep enough in native Android development to judge these things. But I think the plugin thing can be changed, the support library thing can be solved with those adapter plugins, but I'm not sure about the whole activity thing because that's, I think, too deep in the platform code itself. I mean, we have to decide if we want to support other Android X features when the support library change.
I will just mention that one of the things that's new in Android X is a WebView compatibility wrapper. So instead of needing to like check which version of the Android API before you can use some of the newer WebView APIs, they have a support library that mostly handles all that checking for you. And it also has built-in support for dynamically setting dark mode CSS, which apparently is still really hard to do with the built-in WebView.
Interesting. So should we take this to a discuss thread or a proposal? We got about 10 minutes left, and Zoom has extended the 40-minute. They've gifted us with more time. I don't know how long it'll last, but I think they do that to everyone. Secret. Go ahead.
Sorry. The Cordova Discuss is something else I was worrying about, because in the past, Cordova Discuss was in the past very nice for discussing ideas and questions, but then some people really objected to putting things on Cordova Discuss and like this disconnected repository and so on and so forth. And I've kind of stopped putting things on Cordova Discuss because some people objected. So I don't know if, and I would like to see, I would like to kind of see some, like some unity and buy-in rather than dissent, if possible, like, is it better to discuss on the mailing list? Is it better to discuss this in Cordova Discuss? Is it better, maybe somewhere else on GitHub? I don't know.
I think you can use Cordova Discuss, but you have to always email it to the mailing list because that's per Apache's rules. So like everything must be accessible through the mailing list. And then I guess the final, like if there was a discussion that requires a vote, obviously it's all on the mailing list. So yeah, if you want, like, I think when I did when I worked with Ken to do the Swift improvements and the CocoaPod library improvements, the new like specs, we did all that out on Discuss. So it was like all nicely formatted, marked down, everything, so it's readable. People could like obviously comment and reword things if they want. And then we just sent a link in the mailing list. So like, check it out over here. And then obviously I would think we could easily copy all that markdown if it's already prepared and all merged together, because a lot of it is the documentation for what you're doing. And then you can just kind of copy and cut and paste that into Cordova Docs when you're done. So I think it's kind of nice to have that there, but I don't know if there should be like a hard requirement that people must use it, but
yeah, I think it depends on the scope of the change that you're proposing, right? If it's something that you want to have a long form discussion, email can be a bit much. But the only requirement that we have is that the decision is made on the mailing list, right? But that can always point to anywhere for the long form discussion. Just the decision happens on the mailing list.
Personally, I feel that GitHub is much more accessible for outside contributors too, because I always check the GitHub projects and pull request issues, but it takes a lot of time until I search mailing lists.
Yep.
Agreed.
And if we see how much activity is on our mailing list compared to our GitHub and Slack, I think we would get more input from other contributors, not members on GitHub.
Sorry, Tim, you think that the mailing list is more popular than the GitHub?
No. GitHub is more popular.
Okay, yeah. Just wanted to make sure.
So I would
Definitely.
be fine with this using Cordova Discuss, because a lot of people can contribute, and then just shoot a link to the issue or pull request on the mailing list to have the formalities.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's true. I think the only issue that we have is that we have so many repositories that sometimes it's hard to find things.
I actually, yeah, I had an idea that I wanted to make a monolithic repository, but I haven't. That that would have been like something way outside of like what we're doing right now. But if we don't want to use Cordova Discuss, I think we could kind of like start pulling a bunch of our stuff into the Cordova repo, because we are getting issues reported into the Cordova repo. A lot of people do find that over maybe, you know, Coho or over Discuss. They don't find that area so
Yep.
much. But if all the discussion was done in Cordova, that would work, because that's kind of our, I guess you could say, our entry point to all the other repos.
Yeah, we could try to make the README for the Cordova repo more clear about where discussions are happening. Because right now it's pretty much just a list of other repos, right? But we could formalize it more, like if you want to see what we're thinking about in the future and proposals, then here's a link.
Yeah, but hi guys, I finally got it working.
Hey.
Welcome.
So yeah, to cut down on the number of repositories, we could actually just move the, you know, request for comment stuff and discussion on future features. Just move it to the Cordova repo from Cordova Discuss. I mean, I don't know. I don't see why we would need a dedicated repo for the, you know, discussion that can just happen in issues of the main Cordova repo.
Yep, that works too.
I would actually favor a different kind of solution, because if we assume that the just Cordova/Cordova is the community facing repo, that you know, people from the outside will likely go to Cordova/Cordova first, right? That's obvious. But my idea would be to have, so there's Cordova/Cordova, which is where users generally go, and then you can have like Cordova/Cordova-dev/issues, where we could discuss development issues, and that would be publicly available for, you know, where you discuss, when you can discuss like architecture and internal things that most users probably won't even care about and would be distracting. And then if users do want to look into Cordova, I'm just making this out of the thin air, Cordova-dev, say, they can if they want to, and if they don't, it's okay. But then anything that could affect users should be, then we should say, okay, the RFC, this is what we're thinking about. You know, what's your input?
Yeah, well, I think it's hard to say if it's a good thing to draw the line, like to reduce visibility in this case of more technical details, because I mean I've had discussions on GitHub with users of Cordova that like that were saying, you did some breaking changes and it broke all our stuff, and couldn't we have seen it anywhere first? And like for people like that, depending on Cordova stuff, they might want to, be aware and maybe even stumble upon these RFCs. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I think what I was trying to say, but I probably didn't get it right, is that if we expect something to be, anything that might be a breaking change should be in Cordova/Cordova/issues, where people could just see it and are more likely to respond. But like I've seen a lot of issues like, okay, let's try to get rid of Q, and getting rid of Q is it's not going to, I don't think it's going to break a lot of applications getting rid of Q. But it's just, but all the, like Cordova Commons, Cordova Android, Cordova Lib, all have to work together with Q until they get rid of Q. And so that's like getting rid of Q. I think things like getting rid of Q, I think there was the commander or shell. There's like, I forget what it was called out. It's like, we're talking about exec A or super
Yep.
spawn. That kind of stuff, I think, that kind of stuff, internal stuff might be a little bit too much for Cordova/Cordova issues. That's all I was, that's all I was thinking of.
We could fix some of that by having a tooling label, right? So if we're talking specifically about tooling and how we've built our tooling versus how userland is going to call a plugin or install a plugin, just as a way to call out those things that are more deeply technical to the team. But
okay.
I think it would be good to let people see everything, because it might give them an opportunity to go, hey, this isn't some magic. I can actually help out with some of this, right? Like the more that we can do to make what we do accessible to other people, the greater a chance that they might decide to contribute, which is a huge win for everyone.
What if we would, in that case, then just throwing another idea is, what if we would say that, we do, we do enable issues like Cordova/Cordova, Cordova Android, Cordova iOS, but then you can, on GitHub, you can turn, disable the issues on lower level libraries. How about, just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. If it's tooling, it could be in one of 8 places, and it might make sense to have the people who know where, like all the different repos and how they're used, to decide how to fix that and not worry about where that repo or where that issue should be placed.
I mean, but I think most of the time the issues for tooling, as far as I see it, just come in under Cordova CLI or Cordova, and well, that's it.
Yep.
I just move them if I identify it's actually an issue and I know which repo it is. I just move the issue. I mean, we can do that now. That's great, and I don't see too much need for action here because most people don't bother even looking for the right repo to open the issue in. And I think it's good that we can create issues in the repos where they actually need to be fixed. So yeah, well, I think it kind of works at the moment.
I would agree with that. So we're basically at time. Do we want to talk about the next time that we should do this, and possibly finding a way to open it up to a wider audience as well? I don't know if somebody wants to look at Google Meet or some other way to get this directly to YouTube, or if we're okay with doing Zoom and posting to YouTube after.
We could try to use Jitsi. We used Jitsi for some time in the company. It works quite well most of the time, like all of these tools, and it seems to have a live stream to YouTube option.
Yeah, it's called Jitsi.
Yeah, I posted a link a while ago. It's jitsi.org.
Okay.
Looks like Zoom can stream to YouTube, but it's not part of the free stuff, it appears. And yeah,
I mean, does Apache offer Zoom premium accounts? I don't know. They have special deals with different providers for different stuff.
Yeah, I can look into that and possibly even spending some of that donation money so that we can engage with the community. I think would be a good use of that money, since we can't hire a technical writer.
Maybe Infra has some kind of video solution hosted at Apache servers that we can use.
Yeah, I can look into that. So do we want to aim for 2 weeks from now? And I'll go through the full doodle thing again, and we can also include some topics that we want to discuss, and whoever suggests the topic can bring it up in the meeting and lead that discussion. Does that sound like a good plan?
sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me too. Maybe we can shift the time zones a bit so it's not always midnight for Brian.
So we share the
Don't worry
pain.
about me. I'm a night owl. I could stay up.
Okay, yeah, I know that you're a night owl.
Yeah.
But
No, I would like to start sleeping early, but it's only 2 weeks. You know, I can make an exception.
it's every 2 weeks.
Yeah, one day out of every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I think this was great, and it's great to see everyone's faces. And we'll do it again very soon.
Cool.
Bye. See you
Cheers.
soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.